The Meter Maids are a group that grew out of a vision by Liz Baker in 1990 to gather a varied group of friends around a common interest in writing and reading poetry. Over the years, Meter Maids has evolved into a group of women poets who meet monthly to share their love of poetry and support the diverse life experiences of this nurturing community. And as those of us who write know, community is essential to our writing lives. The Meter Maids reading this evening will include Hansis Baker, Ginny Dall, Tina Arnold Driskill, Andra Greenwald, Cleo Griffith, Lynn Hansen, Louise Kantro, Carol Miller, Karen Mitchell, Prather, Lynne Sutton, and Chyril Turner. And it's a pleasure to have them here today. So thank you so much for coming. Let's have a big round of applause for the Meter Maids.
Thanks, Gillian. I always like to watch you when somebody first comes up and takes the mic. That's quite interesting. My name is Lynn Hansen. I'm one of the Meter Maids, and I drew number 1. So here we go. Sea of Grass, Remembering Margaret. It was you who introduced me to the magic of grasslands. Cool morning breezes, rippling waves of grass that swirl in a sea of solitude and roll up Mima Mound beaches of San Luis Island. It was you that piqued my interest in the large stands of native alkali saccaton and purple needlegrass, the ones you detailed with pen and ink, capturing wonder into notebooks. And it was you who showed me the sand paths of voles hidden beneath the petticoats of last year's bunch grass and the harrier gliding above, knowing that when its wings fold, the raptor would knife air, razor talons grasping furry morsel full of wriggle, then limp. It was you who taught me to lie still in floral pools blue with Downingia, listening to a choir of native bees buzzing their music until the sun sputtered goodbye on the horizon and the tawny coyote began to bark and yip. Then, like the tule boat of native people, you drifted away from the shoreline of your memory into the deep channel of silence. But in this stillness, the grasses continue to whisper your name. And I'm going to ask that for the Meter Maids, I forgot to do this beginning, that when we read, if you would please hold your applause until after each person has read, we would really appreciate that. Thank you. The second poem, since I just turned 70, I'm really tuned into aging, and I'm watching all you old people. I'm watching to see how you do this because I'm next. I actually am there. And I remember going to an elder hostel. They don't call it that anymore. You know what they call it? Rhodes Scholar, R-O-D-S Scholar, because the 60-year-olds didn't want to be considered elders. Imagine that. Well, anyway, so I was on an elder hostel trip, and there was a man there by the name of Rudy. And so this poem is about Rudy. Rudy. Name for Rudolph Valentino, the thin man from Queens, sat quietly, Rosalie, wife of 50 years, by his side. Long, white, wavy hair cascades onto bony shoulders, stooped by osteoporosis. Inside bubbles a generous spirit. His wardrobe is simple, no matter the occasion. Gray and white sweater, brown loafers, dungarees worn for the week. He is an artist, jazz musician, plays a black wooden clarinet cradled with care in a small rectangular case held together with clear package tape. At his age, he often plays for friends at gravesides or memorials. Tonight, as he joins the lounge musicians, Rosalie gives him her full attention. Old fingers caress silver keys, ebony tube resonates with its master, ribbon of mellow harmonics flows out. After 5 days of elder hostel, Rosalie asks, "What is the topic?" Rudy plays on, music he knows by feel, embraces his waning life with grace. Like the clarinet case like the clarinet and its battered case, their lives are bound together with transparent love as they improvise music for their dance into the dark. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Linda Prather. This poem that I'm going to read, the first poem, is from one of our Meter Maids evenings where I picked up some things just from the conversation that we had around the table before we get down to writing. Sitting on the patio at Tina's. Unplug your face, face your crisis. The light at the mirror works. Midlife is not a real destination. It's just a stone and a stumble in the road. Just a rock made of dust, like so many others. Walk on. Move down the inlaid path. Turn among the lushness all around you. Focus on early summer's cool evening wind with its sweet perfume and direction. It's okay to bury your face in the coral rose, touch the blue hydrangea. Face the light. Midlife is not a destination. There are other landscapes to consider. Hear the bells? Catch the resonance. Interpret the intonation. There are Spanish red poppies waving in the fields. Neighborhood walk observations. Evening sky like an ikat print. Dark gray clouds backlit. Asian scarf thrown to the wind. And isn't it amazing what the heavens can do? The way they change their look and form. Not so much relegated to seasons as the rest of the landscape, unless its seasons are awfully short. 1 minute a cloud face, the next minute it's gone. Reminds me of some friends I've known. That's what loss is like for me. Seems to happen so quickly, without any warning.
I'm Lynne Sutton. There is no happily ever after. Those long ago poets who wrote those stories were severely delusional. In my experience, for the most part, there have been no princes on white horses, no kisses to waken the sleeping beauty, no riding off to the turreted castle to live happily ever after. Alas, there have been wicked, ego-obsessed kings, or social climbing queens, princes raised to be charming, not well-adjusted, even misunderstood beautiful princesses. It isn't as though happily ever after as a concept was unattainable, never to be hoped for. It's just that life, real life, has tears, pain, hard lessons. It has fear and loss, grief as well as joy, guilt over bad choices, and in the end, if you're lucky, it has redemption, peace, and at long last, understanding. This is called the Antique Armoire. What stories you could tell me if only you would, I said to the antique armoire. It had been abused, scratched, the finish crazed and chipped. I stripped it, sanded out the scratches, wiped it with cheesecloth dipped in a lovely walnut stain. A satin finish made it gleam. It still refused to tell me of its sordid past. And yet, it seemed to stand a wee bit taller. I could tell it was pleased.
I'm Louise Kantro. I have 3 poems, but I timed it, and I fall in the time limit, I think. I used to teach, before I retired, in the IB program at Modesto High, which is a pretty competitive program. Academic integrity. So often homework shoppers surf past the learning channel, pocketing pilfered ideas, tucking answers into hidden crevices, using sleight of mind in a kleptomaniacal urge to take without paying the exquisite price of hurtling headlong into playful explorations and sweet immersions that can only be harvested after much sweat, scratching in the dirt, praying for rain, and just plain joy. Next one, I'm channeling a 15-year-old girl. Lost. In my dream, it is always the same. I walk down a street that looks like my street, see a house that looks like my house, open the door and look in. This woman is not my mother, though she has the same wavy hair, the same don't track in the mud expression, the same flowery smell. I can neither enter nor retreat. She will think I am her daughter. No, I am the one who wonders, could she be my real mother? It is always the same. I get out of the car, go into a school that looks like my school, find the classroom that seems to be mine, and smile without looking at anyone, hoping no one thinks I am who I am not. The last one, shattered glass. Once I dropped a pickle jar, the kind with pieces of garlic in the brine, and it scared you, that noise, but mostly it was the edge you heard in my voice as I tried to calm you by tossing Cheerios onto your high chair tray. It took me 10 minutes to shove the shards into a dustpan, then the trash, and 3 rounds of mopping, and still the kitchen stank, and our shoes stuck to the floor for a week. How many mothers had to ignore their babies' cries, to tend gently to their fathers, whose old bones and spirits were shattered on that cold November in Germany in 1938.
I'm Cleo Griffith. Portioned from the night. If you are day, and you say you are, then I am only portioned from the night, perhaps a slice of midnight, though I prefer to think more closely to dawn, to you. If you are whole, and you say you are, no need of my intrusion. This fraction must continue to circle, looking for the rest of myself. If you are love, and you say you are, then I must be the fractious wine, the clutching arms, possessiveness that can never be filled enough. If you are all the things you say, why do you come to me? Thank you for letting me throw a party for your birthday. Will you arrive with a coat of arms upon your carriage, or on a roan Mustang, your gray hair disheveled by speed? Do you come to share your love of life or your fear of death? Will you address the guests as a poet exposed, or be quiet, an artist closed? Will your hat be flamboyant with feathers and pearls? Will you wear a long cape of silk when you come for your birthday? When you come to see us and celebrate? Will your eyes be sad and dark and weary? Will your hands shake a bit with age? When you come, will you bring another? Or will I be enough? when you come for your birthday. Thank you.
My name is Ginny Dall, and I'm proud to tell you that I'm the mother of Louise Dall. Although I don't think she was writing about me in her poem. My first one is the latest one I've written, and when you hear the subtitle of my poem, you'll know what it's about. The Dance. Subtitle, June 26, 2013, Repeal of DOMA. I sit inside the office chair, looking with fascination at the small green leaves, two sides forming a point. I notice that each twig holding these tender leaves dances in one way or another in the breezes. The ones far away from the center of the tree make big swoops like bows to the unseen audience, including me. But the ones near the center of the tree are nodding. Yes, yes, yes. My next poem won honorable mention at the Modesto Poetry Festival this year. It was read at the festival with a different title, but that's all I've changed about it. It's called Futility. Trying to keep your balance against the strong wind in your face, in a surprising moment of calm, you straighten your sails, force yourself to move forward, only to be slapped and twirled around to where you had begun. If your bones are still intact, do you go out again tomorrow to look for the job so desperately needed? My third and last poem was entered into the contest at the Modesto Festival this year too. It didn't win a prize. It wasn't honorably mentioned. So I began to realize it needed revision. I worked a little on it, and here it is. Wood box. The wood box, very plain, filled with ashes, carried by Margaret, who had shouldered for so many sorrows with us all. As the five of us women went from one level to another, climbed a hill, a small hill, and descended, stopped at favorite places, remembered Fred, husband and father. Sometimes we said nothing, the moment too full. A pause by the olive trees where I keenly relived our labor as we picked, brined, flavored, and finally bottled the crop, which was delicious. Louise stopped by the Christmas trees, each replanted and named for a grandchild. Patty looked at the grapefruit tree, never producing, remembering her several miscarriages before Andrea's birth. Chris ruefully recalled the steep driveway her car backed down accidentally as she raced after it. Bad memory. Tomorrow, the woodbox will be buried in the grave where lay his first wife. Sometime in the future, I will join them in another woodbox.
My name is Chyril Turner, and I'll be reading two poems that are related. The title of the first poem is Degrees. It's 105 degrees in our great agricultural valley, soon to be 110 if the forecast holds. The honeybees are thirsty, searching everywhere for water. They don't know that the pond in my backyard is deeper than their quarter-inch legs. I'm on bee lifeguard duty, looking for ripples created on the surface of the still water, as the honeybees frantically search for a twig raft or a flower petal island. I scoop them out with a net and take them to safety. Amazingly, some of them crawl back into the pond. I rescue them again and take them further away. When I accidentally scoop up a fly, I flip it back in the water. Immediately, a familiar thought drops into my mind. What would the Dalai Lama do? Okay, I know the answer and I'll be kind, but you cockroaches had better not press your luck. And the title of this poem is Bee Lifeguard Duty Part 2. My bee lifeguard shift is coming to an end. I'm hot, tired, and sweaty from all of my bee rescuing. The temperature continues to climb and the bees continue landing on the water, now 2 and 3 at a time. I can't quite bring myself to quit with so many vital lives at stake. Suddenly an idea lands on the waters of my mind. I grab every floaty thing I can find, gardening hats, huge fig leaves, and all of my frisbees. Watching the bees climb on their makeshift rafts, I'm relieved, and I head for the shower. The first thing I see is my loofah sponge, realizing the world is now divided into things that float and things that won't. It looks like my bee lifeguard duty may be a permanent summer job.
My name is Carol Miller. My husband was diagnosed with early onset Alzheimer's in August of 2011. I read one of the poems from my first book that I wrote for caregivers here probably over a year ago. And now it's 2 years later. This is the title poem from my second book of poetry for caregivers and their loved ones. Letting go. Like leaves that cling to familiar branches, though our colors change, we wish for seasons to last longer. We are comfortable in our cocoons of winter, unaware of butterfly days looming inside. Shedding our outdated identities, we choose new roads when gaping holes can no longer be repaired with cartons of oversized Band-Aids. In every season, there is a letting go. Leaves detach from trees, sweaters, coats, and blankets are shed and stored. Birds fly from their nests. Flowers blossom from their tiny seeds. We desperately cling to our loved ones, getting caught up in the web of their lives. We must let go so that we can blossom, knowing we will be held safely in the arms of the universe, free to love again sunny days with clear skies, bathed in the tears of passing cycles. We let go of what we wish to be, revealing who we truly are. This poem was written soon after I brought my husband to stay at Pacifica's Senior Living Memory Care Center in Modesto. That was about 2 months ago. He will be 65 next month. This was posted on the Pacifica Senior Living Facebook page yesterday. I was very honored, so I'd like to share that with you. You can go on the Pacifica Senior Living Facebook page and see this poem. It's time. There is no ceremony for bringing a husband to memory care. No one brings you flowers or cards or food. You are responsible for consuming the leftovers of your marriage. Bite by bite, you try to swallow the disappointment, the empty silence, like the empty nest of children moving out. You savor the remnants of memories as you walk from room to room, without the background voices and footsteps. There are no graduation gowns, no balloons and cheers, just the clicking of the suitcase as it chugs along the sidewalk, arriving at the heavy double doors. Although the sign says welcome home, both participants feel the loss of a shared residence. There is no divorce or death. There is no sense of choice. There is no relief that a decision has been made. We look into each other's tearful eyes, wondering how to take the next step, hoping the journey will not be more painful or longer than we can manage. There is no escape without alarms sounding on either of our lives. From now on, we will need friends and family to hold the doors as we walk through to the next chapter of this unforeseen story. Thank you. I would like to say that the two books are available, and you may have either of them for a donation made to the Alzheimer's Support Center, Modesto. The first one is Holding Hands, and my husband did the artwork. And this is the one that I just finished, which is Letting Go. And I collect angels, and he gave me a card once with an angel on it, so I get that for it. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Hansis Baker. The first poem I'm going to read is an old poem. I'm looking through old poems these days, so this one popped out. It's called Stoplight at Rumble Road and McHenry Avenue. You blend into the forest, reflected in your rear window, waving your arms among the evergreens. I wait behind you at the stop sign. At the green we move. The images in the window pan the extraneous world. Rows of homes, stores, telephone lines, everything squared off, mirroring our journey. If you were to turn into the circle or spiral, you would see me from the side, then through my rear window, and I might be in the evergreen forest, reflecting back to you. The next poem is called Nothing to Wear, apropos for the season. I have nothing to wear. My closet is full of worn-out phrase and fading definition. And even if I could somehow find words, they would not drape me properly. I would itch to take them off. If I could tell you the truth, I would not wish to get myself dressed. I would rather feel the subtle breeze on my skin, grazing me sweeter than diaphanous silk. I would wear no color, no amber, no magenta, no tangerine. Neither would I gather texture. Not piqué, not organza, not wail of corduroy. I would skirt skirts, their line, their flare, their lengths of up and down. Unaccessorized and plainly me, just for now. I would stand undressed, wait, deep inside myself, for hints of a new draping, a new tailoring. And my last poem is called Go Direct. Go direct. Take the day in your palm. Examine it. Watch it unfold like petals on one exotic rose. Leave the list on the table along with your calculating brain. Later they may come in handy. Now they get in the way. Today, the air breathes you in and out in a brilliance of cellular exchange. Something inside you recalls exhilaration, rebirths itself in embryonic fluidity. Don't question the scent of lilac in winter. It blooms in the imagination of cold ground. Take off your conceptual coat. Get comfortable. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Andra Greenwald, and I am the rhymer in the group. I just have one poem. I actually wasn't going to read it all because I'm kind of shy. But this poem was written after I got one too many solicitation emails, and my friends, the Meter Maids, thought people here might be able to identify. This is called Promises, Promises. Exclusive fashion promised me the prince from my sweet dreams. If only I will order their sheer dress without the seams. Living Social told me that I'll save a buck or two, if only when I book a tour, I share a room with you. Bed and Bath has coupons just awaiting to be printed, and there's a bargain just for me, my Groupon app just hinted. Tasting Table promised a gourmet birthday delight, and Open Sky will send a gift if I sign up by tonight. Amazon has got the book to solve each of life's troubles, and Oriental Trading's got brand new life-size bubbles. I'm offered tips on pole dancing, you just don't know the half of it. I started pizza dieting, truly for the laugh of it. EE Beads has crystal and Swarovski stones on sale. Cupcake Castle's got cheap treats that aren't all that stale. Old Navy's got a deal today if I just buy on credit. I pull this small card out so much, I'm starting to regret it. My closet doors are buckling, my drawers are filled with stuff, but my cyber friends advise me that I still don't have enough. If I visit Latitude online, I'll get sucked in again, but I can't resist the image of myself, the perfect 10, which I will be both in and out. If I just heed the signs, they'll all say, hey, look at her, she's dressed up to the nines. The only thing, though, is that I have not stepped from this chair, and my cyber friends in email land can't see a thing I wear. No one comes to visit, to peruse my bargain stash, those treasures that surround me, leaving me devoid of cash. We don't attend performances, nor share tea face to face, and these friends, so important, that I just won't leave this place. The promises they make to me just seem to never end. Perhaps I need a little push, so I stop pushing send. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Karen Mitchell, and I'm a fairly new meter maid. And when I started coming, I had the expectation that people came with their poetry already written and you shared, but it was quite a different experience. I don't know if you know, but at Meter Maids, we actually write when we're there. And I'm thinking after a long day of work, and it's 7, 8 o'clock at night, poetry isn't going to be coming. But there's this wonderful energy, and it does come. So I want to read 2 poems, one that I composed very short last night, and another one I wrote at a Meter Maids gathering, which I polished since. The first one, written last night, is called Silence. Language without silence. A human being without memory. Entire worlds lost. This is a little longer poem. It's called What is a Seed? What kind of being is a seed? It explodes, vanishes, but something of the seed continues. Roots in deep darkness, burns, unconsumed within earth fire. What is it? What is it that attracts the hidden sustenance of sleeping minerals? What causes the undistracted will to ascend in something so delicate, so barely there, but so powerful it wakes the mineral world up to the possibility of its own resurrection? What weaves the living and non-living world together? What creates strong veins, passageways for ardent green lightness, branching in multiple directions, singing in full-throated silence with the stars? What causes the maturation that provides kindly coolness and unrelenting heat, allowance for the play of light and shadow, the hosting of luminous dances under leafing canopies, the sheltering of soaring beings who wish to nest, the flowering for the busy and beauty-starved, the fruiting for those wanting the smell and the taste of goodness. And then, after all this magnificence, the return to seed. What is a seed? Could a seed be faith?
Hello, I drew number 12, so this is the end of the Meter Maids for tonight. My name is Tina Driskill, and as you may have gathered, thank you, Gordon. As you may have gathered, the group meets at my house. And the first one has a kind of a funny story because my friend Karen, who said she was looking through old poetry, managed to look through old poetry, gave me a call and said, Tina, would you like to hear a poem, a really good poem you wrote? And I went, a really good poem I wrote? She said, yes. I said, where did you find it? She said, in an anthology that the early group wrote. And I said, oh, okay, go ahead and read it. And she read it, and I said, I wrote that? Just got your name on it. And I thanked her for sharing my poetry with me and decided to read it. To take flight once more. She struggles and struggles against her dormant soul. It knows a path to awakening as the salmon knows its way upstream, as the snowy owl knows silence in winter and is livened with shrill cries in spring. Yet she is clouded in layers of the mundane. Clear film builds upon the vision she seeks. Fighting patinas, clouding senses and sight. Suddenly, with no known reason or plan, the bird will take flight and the salmon will begin its journey to completeness. And she, too, will take flight once more, breaking the layers as a tender shoot breaks Earth's crust to the sun. The hawk. The hawk, powerfully winged bird of prey, circles, carried upon swift currents through cloudless skies, seeks its prey with deft precision, single-purpose life in rapt attention, sits on fence posts and utility poles in buff, brown, and rust-feathered camouflage, carries a badge of survival along country roadsides, across open fields, vision clear and focused as it plummets toward the ground. I see it lone. I'm told it joins 100-fold in annual migration. It cries, I live blind courage. I will be my purpose. I am successful. Child of the world. I am a child of the world. Was born in the USA, know the American experiment. I have walked in many places, castles in Europe, inscrutable Asian capitals, Edens in Africa, greenbelts spanning the globe. I have experienced the mysteries behind inlaid wooden doors, the grandeur of golden domed cathedrals, birds of the Americas, poverty near and far. I have been led through stone antiquities, wandered the halls of the Alhambra, embraced the colors and smells of Eastern bazaars. I have danced the steps of many lands, accompanied by myriad sounds of music, been exalted by the beauty of grand opera houses, and moved by the genius of street musicians playing their hearts for coins. I claim the spacious skies, the purple mountains' majesty, leave my heart in San Francisco, speak the universal language of a smile. And this last one is kind of a little poke at myself. Too busy. Too busy to call, too busy to write, too busy to notice my life is a fright. Too busy to work out all day at the gym, too busy for lunch, too busy for a swim. Too busy to hang out in front of a screen, too busy to browse the internet scene. Too busy to get out and shop the bargains, too busy to turn my mouth into a grin. Too busy hunting car keys, shoes, and whatnot. Too busy to clean the fridge out of all that does rot. Too busy to clear out the overpacked garage. Too busy to fend off the multitask barrage. Too busy to set up the new 5-handset phone. Too busy to lie still and find myself prone. Too busy to focus, too busy to rest. Too busy to forgive my ongoing mess. Too busy to think thoughts, too busy to get to the doing. Most often I am overwhelmed with fussing and stewing. Too busy is my game, too busy you see, that I am too busy to be me.
Let's have another round of applause for the Meter Maids. Thank